Okay, before I start with the actual deck tech, just I forgot to say, so I'll say it up front. Please like and subscribe if you like the content. Um, yeah, just don't want you to forget, and let's get to the deck tech. Okay, howdy, everyone. Finally, finally, we're going to get to another gameplay video. Um, I had to just get a feel a little bit for the meta. I think some of you may have seen me play against Magic Aids. Full disclosure, I wish I dominated every single matchup like that one, but suffice it to say, not every deck packs 0 to 1 basic lands as whatever that deck, Magic Age was playing was. But in any case, I'm not. I don't think I actually had that recorded, although I guess we're going to see. I mean, I don't think that that was a part of at least this league. Um, that may have been in kind of a bust league that was a part of. That may have been one of the few wins, ironically, in that league that I got against Magic Age, though go figure. Um, but in any case, this I'm going to share today a league where I did go. Well, I don't want to say the exact result. I'll keep a little bit of a secret, I guess, until the end. But I think this is a reasonable enough result that's worth sharing. Spoiler alert: this is not my final list that I've settled on. I don't know that I'm fully settled on anything yet, but definitely there. I'm going to go over, I guess, the list that I'm playing now at the end. I'll probably share another list in between the list I'm playing now and the list, another list in between this one and the list I'm playing now, maybe next time. But anyway, look, let's get to the deck tech already. Just try to keep it quick. We know the backbone of most of my monocolor decks are pretty much the 8 fields. Demolition Field, Field of Ruin. Um, and of course, Cleansing Wildfire seems to make sense to supplement that, especially it's our only way to pit basics. That being said, this may not be as much of a sacred cow, at least in the main, as I had once thought, but certainly there's a very good many matchups where we're going to be able to keep our opponents off of most of their lands because of this. So there are far worse things you can do. Um, Frostbite, Strangle, Torch the Tower. This has kind of been the trifecta of 1 mana removal in Pioneer that I have settled on for a while. Um, you know, with Strangle, may or may not end up ultimately making the cut. We'll get to that at the end. At the end, it's really just because it's sorcery speed, but in reality, like 3 damage from 1 mana, you can do a lot worse. That being said, I feel like there is so much more haste in the format than there's ever been before. Slick Shot, Show Off, all these, multiple of these new weird mouse red creatures in red that have haste, and when they become the target of spell, really first time you first source you control, like you reveal the top card of your library. I forget what they're all called, but there's so many hasted creatures nowadays that you know I feel like Strangle is not in its glory days. It was definitely in its glory days against Amalia combo, that's for sure. Just 1 mana be able to deal with Walker, whatever that card was called. But I think Frostbite is probably going to be a mainstay for a long, long time. Yes, I am aware, by the way, Burst Lightning. I am aware Burst Lightning, I went over this in the cards that are reprinted into Pioneer. Obviously, I may want to try to work this in at some point. Being able to deal damage to face and kicking for 4 is pretty powerful, not gonna lie. Especially since I played a strictly worse card than this in the past. Basically, 1 mana for 2 damage to, I think it's only a creature, not even Planeswalker, and you can kick it for 4 and deal 4 damage. So yes, I am aware Burst Lightning is significantly better. It can also hit Planeswalkers, and one of the few burn spells in Pioneer that's playable that can also go face. Um, Notably one of the only 1 mana burn spells that is not strictly inferior to Lightning Bolt. So there is that. But it's just that I just feel like Strangle, is probably better, just being 3 damage unconditional. That being said, um, I probably let me put it this way: if I'm going to change Strangle, I'm probably more likely to go for a 2 mana spell that has some kind of additional upside as instant speed. But Burst Lightning is something worth circling back to, perhaps, in the future as another card to test out. But I just feel like we want a critical mass of 3 damage burn spells, and maybe Torch the Tower is something we're looking at to replace with Burst Lightning instead. That being said, as long as Phoenix is a part of the format, Torch the Tower is one of our only ways to actually possibly steal games against us. And Phoenix has been has become a significantly tougher matchups with all these new tools that they've gotten. But good old Torch the Tower is still one of the ways we can potentially steal, especially game 1. But I do think Frostbite is probably the MVP of Pioneer removal for the foreseeable future, because its base of 1 mana, 2 damage, it also hits Planeswalkers, is just very solid. It deals with most of the stuff, certainly on 1 mana, that you can hope to deal with. And it is just not so difficult to get to 3 mountains. And the fact that it is basically a lightning bolt that doesn't go to face, but a lightning bolt on creatures and Planeswalkers in the mid to late game without that much difficulty is very plus. Yes, we're not always going to hit 3 snow-covered mountains by turn 3. That being said, we don't have to, because this 2 damage is very relevant for a very long stretch of the game. And then, of course, it doesn't take that much to just become that a little bit better. So, I have been very satisfied. I do think it's better than Strangle, but I think I would rate Frostbite number 1. Honestly, now I'd say Torch the Tower is better, just because of how important instant speed is, and maybe Strangle is third. But historically, I would have ranked it Frostbite, Strangle, Torch the Tower. But now I'd say Frostbite is number 1, Torch the Tower is number 2, and Strangle is number 3. Best 1 mana removal, and yeah, and I know we're gonna get to the elephant in the room, but yeah, Scorching Dragonfire. Just feel like really what it is there's this weird new card that yeah, Half-Life. I love that game. Let me see if this card pulls up. Okay, where is this card? Death Wish or something. This card. Here it is, Unstoppable Slasher. Yeah, this card is now a part of the meta. I am shocked. This card is so freaking good. Like, wow. They what can I say? Fire design, like I am definitely a little bit burnt out on Modern because of Modern Horizons 3, but they are certainly pushing the envelope even in Standard. So Pioneer is still, at the end of the day, I wish we would go back to things not being so ridiculously power crept, but at least Pioneer is not being as crazy power crept as Modern for the time being. So it's just cruel bargain. Draw 4 cards, you lose half your life, rounded up. I wonder, is that Pioneer legal? Not sure. Apparently not. Wow, a surprising amount of half-life cards. So which half the creature discards half the cards in your hand, rounded out, loses half their life total. Yeah, surprising number of these cards are not Pioneer legal, but yeah, this is say Scorching Dragonfire, definitely one shots this card. It's also instant speed, good against Phoenix, good against Planeswalkers. I mean, there's Obliterating Bolt too, so that is another potential that also one shots Unstoppable Slasher. It also deals 4 damage. I just don't feel there's that much. I just realized this guy kind of looks like he's twisted around the wrong way. Is this just me, or like this guy's face is like, yeah, maybe it's just me, but somehow it looks like he's facing the wrong direction and his head is like twisted around. Maybe it's just a weird perspective issue, and maybe it's because these weird these weird I don't know what you call them, things that flap out are typically something of this size is typically more on the backside area. Something about, I never realized this. Something about this looks kind of off. Like this guy is kind of like contorted in a weird way. But I guess let me know. Now that I see it, I can't unsee it. I never really thought about it until now. Something seems kind of off about this image. Although maybe this is just the front of his body, and just I'm just misinterpreting whatever this flap thing is. Typically, I guess I'm associated, like it would be kind of smaller on the front side if it's what I think it is, but whatever. In any case, yeah, Obliterating Bolt. Yeah, spoiler alert, this may or may not end up being the better card than Scorching Dragonfire, but instant speed is certainly nothing to sleep on, and I wanted to try out Scorching Dragonfire because I think it was a good find, and we'll see. Burn down the house. So this has been actually a surprisingly good card. I almost think it's a staple, but this may or may not end up persisting until the end because obviously things can change. But certainly, certainly earlier in this year, it was still quite a solid card. The ability to create these 3 devil tokens is more relevant than you might think. They're a good source of chump blockers. They can also close out the game potentially, especially against slower control-ish type matchups. Sometimes you just get there. Sometimes you need 3 removal spells to deal with them. Haste is nice. 5 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. Just a very good sweeper. The modality is very underrated. I think as far as sweepers go, this pretty much is the cream of the crop, at least in the higher, like above, 3 mana cost. For one more, because there's another card, Storm's Wrath. Now, in Modern, because Modern is just so much more cutthroat, I don't think I'd ever be ballsy enough to try burn down the house. In Modern, Storm's Wrath is kind of like where I ended up settling in Modern as a red mana as a red sweeper, mainly because it deals the Scion of Draco. It's one of the only ways to deal with it under a ley line. And that also deals with most of the other small creatures in Modern, Planeswalkers. But it's mostly just because Modern is just so cutthroat. And you oftentimes cannot count to get to turn 5. So a lot of times you can't even count to get to turn 4, but you're much more likely to end up surviving a turn 4 in Modern before this card can save your butt than surviving to turn 5. So that's why in Modern. But that being said, burn down the house. In Pioneer, I feel like I'm going to live to turn 5 a good enough chunk of the time in Pioneer. I think the vast majority of the time I can. And remember, I can also try to hold the ground with the other burn spells and stuff so that I don't die before turn 5. But I feel like in Pioneer, um, it's much more feasible to live to turn 5, and you just get so much more from this card for just 1 more mana. Honestly, if you only got 1 more damage, so it was 5 to creature or planeswalker, yes, it hits Shieldred, which you can't underestimate that in Pioneer. And honestly, that's one of the main reasons I even skipped over Storm's Wrath in Pioneer. Shieldred is so much more ubiquitous in Pioneer than Modern, at least last time I played. Maybe Shieldred took over Modern, but certainly it's ubiquitous in Pioneer. That being said, I think Shieldred really only was seeing play in some of the mono black like Coffers type decks and Rakdos Scam, which as I understand is completely fallen off in Modern. But Shieldred saw play in a ton of different, almost any deck with black last time I saw in Pioneer. So while there is seriously some consideration to play this over Storm's Wrath just for the 5 damage, the fact that you also get the ability to create these 3 hasted devil tokens that also deals damage when they die. You just get a lot more for 1 more mana, and for those who think this is total jank, I totally get it. This is just kind of one of those MHayashi cards that I just played it, and I'm like, hey, this card, you get a lot. Yes, it's super expensive, but you get a lot for what you pay for, and at the end of the day, it's as long as you get what you pay for in Magic as in life, don't necessarily look at the price tag. You know what I mean? Like in all areas of life, don't necessarily think it's so expensive, therefore it's a bad buy. It's all about, do you get what you pay for out of it? It's a higher risk, higher reward, and I think the reward is definitely there with Burn Down the House. Now, is the reward still better than other options going forward? This we'll wait to see, but in any case, it certainly is worth the price tag, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to be the best of options that we can play in sweepers, but it certainly is actually a good card against all odds. But Torch the Witness, secretly one of the best removal spells, maybe the best removal spell. The only knock against this, honestly, is I wish it could also deal damage to planeswalkers. Of course, I wish it could deal damage to players, but this would be very oppressive in burn type strategies if it could. So even though I'm in red, I actually like that it doesn't hit players, because I probably couldn't beat overpowered burn decks with this kind of mid-range approach. But really, there's no other card in the deck that can pretty much deal with any creature of any size reliably without totally having to spend a ridiculous amount of mana. And also a good, more often than not, get a clue token out of it too. Sometimes we'll even intentionally pump an extra mana in to get the clue token, even though we could spend 1 less mana. Sometimes spending 1 less mana is just better, though, to be more efficient. But that is a nice little bit of flexibility that is really hard to exaggerate. I don't know why this doesn't see more play in other decks. I guess You know, I guess honestly, like in black, like, you know, Blood Chief's Thirst is probably just better because, yeah, for 4 mana, you can deal with literally any creature or planeswalker. You don't get a clue token, though. And for 1 mana, it's more efficient most of the time at dealing with the smaller threats. So, to be fair, if you're playing black, I get it, kind of. Still, though, the clue token cannot be underestimated. And anyway, certainly in red, basically, don't forget, it doubles. And that's a key thing, because for 2 mana, you deal 2 damage. That's going to deal with most of the early threats. For 3 mana, you deal 4 damage. You see how well it scales. At 3 mana, you're going to be able to deal with almost anything in the 2 or 3 mana range. At 2 mana, you're going to be able to deal with most of the stuff in the 1 or 2 mana range. 3 mana, you're going to deal with most of the stuff in the 2 to 3 mana range. And at 4 mana, you deal 6 damage, and you're going to be able to deal with pretty much everything at the 3, 4, and 5 mana range. Pretty much everything is going to be 5, 6 toughness max in the 3 to 4 mana range. If there's some kind of 7 toughness 4 mana creature that sees significant play, I'm not particularly aware of it. That being said, you can even go to 5. You can even go to 5 and deal 8 damage. And that's going to deal with just about anything that ever has seen play and ever will see play, including those like Titan of Industry and whatnot in Pioneer. And there's just no other single card in this deck that can one-shot even like a Titan of Industry. So I don't foresee me cutting this. I don't foresee cutting this in a long time. I used to play this alongside Nahiri's Warcrafting. I kind of missed this card, 3 mana for 5 damage. That also has this upside to potentially be card advantage with excess mana. Is also really nice. It also deals with planeswalkers, so that is a big plus, I gotta say. I think this is also a highly underrated card. However, Torch the Witness, one thing you may notice, it's not double red, very relevant in a deck with this many brown sources. So that's one thing. It doesn't hit planeswalkers, but it can also scale higher than Harry's Warcrafting. Also, you won't always, if it's not a land, you may or may not be able to actually play it. Like if you reveal like a Frostbite, there might not be another reasonable target. With Harry's Warcrafting, you might not have the extra red. You might have an extra color, spend an extra red. You might not have 2 mana to spend on a Mazemind or a Reckoner or a Cleansing Wildfire. Like there's a lot that can make it so you can't actually take advantage of the card advantage aspect with Nahiri. So the clue is almost always going to be relevant. So I think Torch the Witness fares very favorably compared to Warcrafting. Only knock against it is it doesn't hit Planeswalkers. Otherwise, I think it is almost strictly better. So yeah, what can I say? That being said, you could play both, but I just think being lean, being efficient is generally better. And Torch the Witness is I'm definitely cutting Nahiri's Warcrafting before I cut Torch the Witness, and of course, really the backbone that makes the deck tick is Mirrex, of course, because just quite an underrated card. I didn't know what to think that much of this when I first saw it, because I didn't like the way the might tokens, the Phyrexian might tokens can't block. I thought that the poison was a little gimmicky, but one thing that I noticed, I think somebody killed me with a Mirrex once. I'm like, wow, one poison actually really finishes you off a lot quicker than you would expect. And through life gain too, by the way. So if you gain some life with Mazemind Tome or whatever, a lot of decks are packing some life gain. So it is cool that this might token just completely can ignore the life gain. So yeah, and also like it's kind of card advantage, because you just crank out these tokens at the end of the turn, and they have to basically deal with each token you create, and they have to deal with the Mirrex itself, which not a lot of decks are packing a lot of land destruction. So there's just, this is just a surprisingly reliable card in Pioneer. We do have Reckoner's Bankbuster and Burn Down the House to supplement in case that they do have a lot of land removal. But honestly, I think we can get away with pretty much just trying to win with Mirrex, certainly in the main deck at least. Yes, they can have their Demolition Fields, Field of Ruins, but remember, we're trying to pin down a lot of their lands. Also, we could, if they play with their fields first, which a lot of times they will, we can always field their field to clear the way for our Mirrex. There's a lot of counterplay, and obviously there is always the ever-present fear that the opponent will have like 8 fields like we do, and we can't really rely on Mirrex as a finisher. In this particular build, we still do have the Reckoner and the Burn Down the House, though, so I don't feel like we're going to be we're going to lose the game to basically just not having threats. But I do think that the opposing decks playing 8 fields is rare enough that we honestly could just get away with playing Mirrex as our only finisher, at least in game 1. It's worth noting that in game 2, Crucible of Worlds gives us the ability to bring this back if they do deal with it, so they will have to both deal with it and exile it from the graveyard to get rid of it for good. And this particular build is opting for Reckoner's Bankbuster. Honestly, I probably would endorse Mishra's Research Desk. This is a tried and true staple that I don't know exactly what I was smoking in this particular instance that made me think that cutting this was a good idea. But for whatever reason, I wanted to experiment, and cutting. If you're not cutting Sacred Cows, you're not fully embracing the MHayashi methodology. I don't just cut every Sacred Cow all the time for no reason, but every once in a while, I will cut a Sacred Cow just to see how sacred it really is. But even though I think we do well enough in this league, I will say I think that's in spite of cutting Research Desk, not because of it. That being said, Bankbuster is pretty good because it is potentially 3 cards, and it's another potential win condition. The treasure token can be nice on the last activation, but it is a little slow to get going, and you don't have the option to scry, so you can't force a 3rd land drop like you can with Mazemind end of turn scry, and beginning of upkeep scry to try to that happens more often than you might think. And Mazemind Tome's ability to be massive card advantage in the late game and also help you hit your 3rd land drop in the early game. It's way better than you might think, and I have never, every single time I play Bankbuster, I never ever for 1 second think it's better than Mazemind. Mazemind is consistently so much better than Bankbuster. It's not even funny. That being said, Bankbuster is kind of like Mazemind for 5 through 8, and it is still good. It is still good, just not as good as Mazemind in this particular deck. But I do kind of feel like having 8 sources of card advantage is kind of important because, yeah, like we believe it or not, we can go 30 cards deep in our deck and not see a single Mazemind Tome. Yes, it's statistically unlikely. Also, they could discard the first copy. They could counter the first copy. It is just nice to have a backup because if we're just trading 1 for 1, and yes, the occasional board wipe, but if we're just trading mostly 1 for 1, aside from a few other cards, it's what can I say? If we just trade 1 for 1, we're not necessarily ever pulling ahead. So Reckoner is a potential important way to pull ahead, but Research Desk is another way, and it's probably more efficient. Okay, and last but not least, maybe I should have led on this, but Fountainport Bell. I went through this in my set review, and I think this card could end up being a surprising sleeper of a solid card that I don't think people are evaluating this the way it's supposed to be evaluated. That doesn't mean that I'm ultimately going to end up playing this card, but it does mean, I'm certainly playing it in this league, but don't think of this card as, I don't even know what you might be thinking of this as, but I have a feeling that whatever it is you may or may not be thinking of this as, it's not necessarily what you think. Like, compare this card to like Oliphant, which I know is not Pioneer legal, but compare it to this card, which is actually a surprisingly solid card in Pioneer, in even Modern potentially, certainly in the Living End strategies, but it's basically this being able to Mountain Cycle for 1 mana is better than you might think, because in a 20 land deck, this is basically going to reliably hit you your 2nd land drop, even off a colorless land, and that is super powerful. And then so this basically ends up taking a land slot. These 1 mana Mountain Cyclers or Land Cyclers, they end up taking a land slot, not a spell slot, and that's why these Land Cyclers are so powerful. From the Lord of the Rings set, which I know is not Pioneer legal, but that's beyond the point at the moment, because I think that is our comparison with Fountainport Bell, something like Oliphant. Now, Oliphant is cheaper to Mountain Cycle because this is a total of 2 mana, 1 to play and 1 to draw a card. That being said, for 1 mana, you put the mountain on top of your library, so you guarantee to hit your 2nd land drop like Oliphant, and then you can draw the 2nd card whenever you have a spare mana available. So what this is effectively, this is, your land drops. Basically, the way I would play Fountain Bell is exactly like this particular configuration. Is this enables me to play 20 lands, but basically this ends up taking lands 21 to 24 because this reliably helps me hit my next land drop. And later in the game, I can even put the land on top, draw a card, so I draw the land the same turn, so I can play it and continue hitting my land drops on curve every turn. That is an option. But what's really awesome about this card, and honestly, I think this card might even be better than Oliphant, at least in this deck, because this deck is just not really in the business to play a 6-mana 6/4 or whatever Oliphant is. I forgot. Not that that's playable again. I know that's not Pioneer legal, but since our deck is not so much in the business to play some kind of threat like that can easily get one-shotted, being able to just draw a card, like being able to not put a mountain on top of our library and just draw a card later in the game when we have a lot of lands, or early in the game if we happen to be particularly flooded. Very powerful. I mean, again, I'm not saying that this means that this is like an auto include going forward, no matter what. But I think people may be misunderstanding this card. This is a land, full stop. This takes a land slot, and this is just basically extra lands. But unfortunately, that means I have to cut Blast Zone. I don't want to. I think I tried to play 24 lands plus Fountain Bell, and what ended up happening is I'm never comfortable putting a mountain on top. Even if I basically have no mountains, I don't want to put a mountain on top because I just have too many freaking lands, and I can't play. And like I'm just playing lands every turn, but I don't have enough action spells, and so I'm basically always just cycling this for 2 mana, and that's kind of inefficient. As just a pure draw, a pure filter type card. I mean, it's like a Relic of Progenitus that doesn't exile the graveyards when it cycles, basically. So it's not, you don't want to play this for the cycling. Not that you'd ever want to play a 1-mana cycling card just for the cycling, but yeah, I feel like this is at its best when it is helping you hit your extra land drops. If it's always just cycling, which I felt like it was doing with 24 lands, I just don't know about it. I just feel like it's not doing what the card is going to be best at doing. So, but of course we do want Blast Zone because, especially in red, it just is one of our most reliable ways to deal with enchantments. Also, pretty much anything, as long as we can pump the mana into it. Which, by the way, Zirda helps us pump extra mana into it because for just 1 mana we can soup it up to 1 extra counter. Pretty much basically this Zirda makes it so that each mana you pump into Blast Zone pumps it up by 1 counter instead of 2, which means that of course you're not always going to be able to count on Zirda staying in play, but if you do, suddenly this card can pretty much pump up to whatever you need it to deal with very reliably, very easily. And then it also only costs 2 mana total, the activation, which I count as a mana because instead of tapping for colorless, you're tapping it to sack. Basically, yeah, just for tapping it and 1 extra mana, then you can just, activate it. So that is very solid. And I mean, I ran into an artifact deck that had a synthesizer, not experimental synthesizer. I ran into some kind of a blue deck that played where was that card? Simulacrum synthesizer, yeah, synthesizer. And this card just totally dominated me. So I guess honestly, I only played against that deck once in like 5 leagues or something. So I don't know what to tell you. Maybe I don't need artifact removal, but it did feel kind of crunchy just trying to rely on Blast Zone, which oftentimes the game was already over by the time I could crank this to 3. So but the thing I like about Abrade, because I tried like by force before. This card just seems so awesome, but there just are not that many decks other than like the Simulacrum synthesizer deck. That's like the only deck that by force that kills more than 1 artifact. For the most part, I think the bigger risk of bringing in artifact hate in Pioneer is that they just don't play the artifact that you wanted to 1-shot. So I don't know. I just like Abrade also because in some matchups I might just bring it in for extra creature removal. Like these assortment of spirits. aggro of all different varieties. There's even a humans deck running around Pioneer apparently. Like, there's all kinds of stuff that I might just bring this in for the creature removal, even aside for the artifact hate. And to be honest, I think the vast majority of the time this comes in, it's going to be come in to supplement more creature removal than it is artifact removal. But that is but hey, having a sideboard slot that actually comes in as opposed to by force, which almost never comes in, yeah, I think Abrade makes it made sense. But I'll show you at the end. I think I found a better card that also kind of. I think I found a card that does what Abrade does, but better than Abrade, and also does what Burn Down the House does, but for the most part better. But it combines them into one card, freeing up a slot. I think we all know what that card is. But for the time being, I thought Abrade just makes a lot of sense here. And of course, the deck obviously can play Zirda. Shout outs to everybody who suggested, because I was playing a version of this deck for a while without Zirda, even though I could support it. And although Zirda doesn't come in a lot of matchups a lot of the times, there are decks like humans and spirits and whatnot that they don't play a lot of creature removal. And if the timing is right, if they're tapped out or whatever, sometimes just dropping this Zirda, it makes all your other activations cheaper, and then it can be an excellent value play. It really can. So yeah, Zirda. Zirda is not always going to come out, but that being said, if he does come out, like, he can only come out when he's needed, and when he does come out, I assume this is a he, does come out, yeah, things can get very nutty very quickly. So this is absolutely not like Giganta. This is not just a giant body. A 3/3 body is not giant, but it's still beefy enough that it can be a decent blocker. But this card has a very relevant ability. And now that I think about it, I actually totally forgot that it even has this ability to make it so a creature can't block. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. I don't think I've ever used that once, but that's not why you play it, obviously. I already went over Blast Zone. Stonebrain, what I just like about Stonebrain is just that it has greater applicability than just Graveyard Hate. I feel like there's really no decks in Pioneer that I really need Graveyard Hate against other than Phoenix. But there are decks, like, honestly, I think I want to bring this in against Blue-White Control, just because I feel like I can beat Blue-White Control other than what's that card called? Shark Typhoon. Shark Typhoon is really my only the only card that I kind of can't beat. Problem with Stonebrain, though, is that it's kind of a sitting duck to like Dovin's Veto. Like, even if you play it, I mean, if you think about it, you could wait till turn 5 to play around No More Lies, the mana leak of Pioneer. By that time, though, like, they could play No More Lies just to tap you down 3 mana, and then there's a very good chance, if you're waiting till turn 5 to play this, that they're on their turn 6 and they just slam Shark Typhoon, and before you can activate this. And sure, you can't deal with the rest of the stuff, but then just make a bunch of Shark tokens, and then good luck resolving Burn Down the House. I mean, sure, I guess you could pump a Blast Zone to 6. Yes, you could play a Burn Down the House, maybe deal with all the Shark type tokens. They don't have additional counter magic. It's just not going to happen. Anyway, honestly, this is not the solution against Blue-White Control. But it is a card that if you can sneak it in, especially like on turn 2, like if it's your turn 2 and they only have one land out, their turn 1, they don't always play Spell Pierce, and if they do, they don't always have it. So sometimes you could sneak this out and maybe you just deal with the Shark Typhoons. And honestly, the Blue-White Control, they don't really have reliable win conditions other than Shark Typhoon. Like, sometimes they can get there with a Wandering Emperor, but yeah, they're certainly not going to get there with their Hall of the Storm Giants because of these 8 fields. But anyway, yeah, I just like that this card has additional utility. There's other cards too. Against some of the black decks, you may want to bring this in to name what's that card called? Invoke Despair or something. Invoke. Let's look at this card. I think it's called Invoke Despair. Yeah, Invoke Despair. Yeah, this card is pretty backbreaking. Yeah, I mean, some of these decks we could win through, especially with if we have extra life gain, so we don't take 6 every single time. But yeah, you end up ironically a lot more card positive, even though this is inherent card disadvantage. It's not card disadvantage if your opponent isn't drawing isn't drawing 3 cards and doming you for 6 throughout the game, if you know what I mean. Like if the game goes long enough, there are certain cards in certain matchups, aside from obvious combo applicability, like these Quintorius Cade decks. I actually think against the Quintorius Cade decks, you probably want to name Trumpeting Carnosaur or whatever instead of Quintorius, because Quintorius is fairly easy to deal with the burn spells. It's the freaking 6 toughness dino that card goes nuts. So if you know what I mean. So anyway, um, and then we've got Crucible of Worlds, which yeah, you know what? Like the funny thing is, shout out to everybody who's like, hey, what about Crucible of Worlds? Because I did try it on and off, but I think I'm finally starting to realize that I think this is very solid. It's just better in the sideboard because there are some matchups where where the land destruction is just kind of meh. I know, believe it or not, like the thing. Okay, the thing about Cleansing Wildfire, the reason why we can get away main decking this is that it draws a card, so it's never dead. Field of Ruin, it's still a land drop. You see what I'm saying? But Crucible of Worlds in the decks where the land destruction is just meh, and there are like mono black coffers type decks, not coffers, mono black invoke despair, whatever you call them type of decks, mono black waste not type decks, mono red aggro type decks, mono red burn type decks, mono white I've seen like mono white humans or mono white weenie, whatever. I've seen it all. I've even seen a mono blue devotion deck running around. Mr. Right Meow, I think is his name. Shout out. Way to go. Just like I'm jamming this nonsense every single league. Mr. Right Meow. I think we've traded some wins, some losses, but I gotta respect. He's playing this mono blue devotion deck, and I don't. It doesn't. It looks like it's primarily relying on Master of Waves for the win condition. And I just don't know about that. Obviously, that card is a house against me, and that's the main reason. The main thing that makes me a little skeptical is I feel like he should be beating me every single time. The fact that sometimes I can win, even though there's a Master Waves, makes me wonder a little bit about it. But that being said, something must be working because he's still jamming it. And shout out to Mr. Right Meow for playing Mono Blue Devotion like every single time I run in. And yeah, like that. If he's making Mono Blue Devotion great again, then he's doing for Mono Blue Devotion what I'm trying to do for whatever the heck you call this Ponza, I guess. So anyway, but yeah, Crucible Worlds, decks like that, decks like White Weenie, decks like red, red aggro, red burn, decks like yeah, decks like black whatever, waste not, or just generic mid range, or green mono green devotion is a thing. Plays a ton of forests. Um, yeah, there are monocolor decks in Pioneer. Not necessarily super common. And there are other decks too that they play like 5 color where they play one of each basics. It's more doable than the monocolor decks, but it's still kind of hard to Ponza them out. And there's other decks too. Oh yeah, blue white control. Like blue white control is like the thing is once you actually start Ponzing them, it's very backbreaking actually against blue white control. So like I always have mixed feelings about how good the Ponza strategy is against blue white control. Blue white control though, like honestly, kind of Mirrex is one of the main powerhouses just because um, they have to deal with it on site, and then they have to also deal with each Mirrex token each turn. Um, yeah, blue white control is just an interesting thing, and also they just kind of suffer from having to rely on Shark Typhoon as their pretty much only win condition. So there is that, but yeah, I'm always kind of like on the fence about how good the Ponza strategy is against blue white control because they play a ton of basics. On the other hand, they usually play about 5 to 6 basics, I think. So I see some play like 2 planes, 3 islands, some play like 3 planes, 3 islands. They usually play 5 to 6 basics. I think typically 6 more often than 5. But on the other hand, they are uniquely mana hungry, obviously. So if you ever do start to actually when they do run out of basics, which does happen, especially if the game goes long. I think the better way to approach blue white control, honestly, is don't start cracking the fields and cleansing wildfire. I mean, sometimes you got to cleansing wildfire just to cycle through your deck, but like if possible, I think it might be better to kind of hold off on fielding right away. But on the other hand, though, you also want to be mana efficient, so there is that. But like yeah, but basically, like I think against blue white control, you want to be cranking out the Mirrex tokens actually with your spare mana more often than cracking the fields just to crack the fields. And the reason is, although you may have to crack the fields sometimes to make sure you've got enough red mana that you can deal with a resolve like Teferi or a resolve Wandering Emperor or something. Um, You don't want those to resolve and just not have an answer. But that being said, if you can afford to wait it out a little bit, if they will draw throughout the course of the game naturally a good chunk of those basics, and then it becomes actually surprisingly crippling to just kind of go at the just go at the lands. You know what I mean? Um, you know. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But the point is cards like Crucible of Worlds, which I was really trying to get to. Um, it's just an extra engine source that they kind of have to respect. They kind of have to deal with against decks like that. Also, Rakdos mid range is becoming annoyingly good against us. They don't have their vampire tech, but they've got that new weird ogre card. Let's try to look at this card here. Get that weird new. Hmm. What was it? Ogre or was it demon? Maybe it was demon. Uh, let's see here. Or maybe it's all the way up here, right? It's one of these types of decks. It's one of these types of cards. Or maybe it's down here in the mana cost is a little bit. I think it's like 8 mana. I think 7, 8. If you count it together, which I think you have to. Well, whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's that card that enter the room. Maybe I'll search room or door. Room or door. Yeah, this one, funeral room. Oh no, that's not right. Door. Okay, door. Yeah. Okay. Where is that card? There's another black one that I'm just not seeing here for some reason. It's not cramp vents. It's not funeral room. What's going on here? Oh, maybe there's more up here. Ah, that's it. Let's see here. These doors are interesting, aren't they? Um, Unholy Annex. That's it. This is the card. This is surprisingly annoying to deal with in the new Rakdos mid-range deck. Um, End of your end step, draw a card. If you control demon, each opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. Otherwise, you lose 2 life. Like the thing is, I mean, this is a more painful Phyrexian Arena if you don't have a demon. Um, the problem is that Phyrexian Arena in and of itself is a little bit annoying for me to deal with because I don't have enchant removal, and it's kind of just a more efficient Mazemind Tome that just keeps Toming every single turn, like no matter what, and you don't have to pay mana to do it. Yeah, it doesn't gain life; it loses life, but I don't really pressure the life total that much. So honestly, so the problem with Unholy Annex is just that it's kind of a Phyrexian Arena type effect that does see play. They did, incidentally enough, reprint Phyrexian Arena. I don't know if Phyrexian Arena is good enough to see play in Pioneer, but it is available now if they want to. I think it was Foundations that added it. But what really makes this card excellent is that even though it's kind of a more painful Phyrexian Arena just on the base of it, um, it also actually gains you life and actually is a source of reach if you do have a demon. And there are more demons than you might expect, including that 4 mana 6/6 demon that basically it has like a fading 4 more or less, or whatever the equivalent of fading was in Time Spiral Buck. I forget what that's called, but vanishing. In any case, I mean, more or less. I don't know why they created a new weird vanishing mechanic for that card, but I guess I think you lose the game, right? But of course, most of the time, if it deals 18 damage to you, you die. So anyway, but yeah, there's the thing about this card actually is like it combos with itself with this Ritual Chamber card that for paying 5 mana to get a 6/6 black demon creature token with flying on the other end, because the way it works is you play the Annex and then later on you can pay the 5 to get a 6/6 black demon token. You could also get the demon token first and get the Annex later, or just pay 8 mana to get both if you want. The same turn, but like it kind of combos with itself. All you have to do is wait, 2 more turns, typically, and you'll have enough mana to crank out this demon, which is a threat you have to deal with in its own right, and you will gain most likely at least 2 of that life back that you lost, because most likely I'm not gonna be able to deal with that demon the turn it comes down, because I'm probably gonna be relying on Torch the Witness or like Double Strangle or something. You get the idea, and so that is kind of cool that they yeah that they can do this. And anyway, what I'm just trying to get to is cards like Crucible Worlds. Like it's kind of necessary because they just draw so many cards that I need to be able to basically reliably hit a field every single turn to actually suppress their mana. Because when you draw an extra card every single turn, let alone if you get like 2 of these out, which is not unthinkable, 2 of these annexes, what ends up happening is they will just keep drawing cards, and they won't ever take a turn off where they won't play a land. But Crucible Worlds makes it so that I can keep Ponzing every single freaking turn. And what this is this kind of becomes my own sort of janky Annex in a sense. But it doesn't lose me life, and it also guarantees that each of those cards are always a land, which that could be good or that could be bad. But in this deck, against a deck like Rakdos Scam, which usually only plays 2 or 3 basic swamps max, yeah, that can actually be pretty good. So yeah, anyway, whatever. Crucible Worlds, I think that's an excellent card. Okay, so this isn't the patented MHayashi hour-long deck tech, but I still spoke my piece, and probably spoke way longer than I needed to, and we'll just get into the games, I think, from here, and hope you. Okay, so this is the first match, and yes, unfortunately, this is going to have to be post-league recording over. I actually I found that, unfortunately, maybe it's because I'm kind of getting back into it. I just play better when I'm not commenting. And yeah, unless you want to see like a 1-4 league, which I think I'm pretty much guaranteed to get if I'm trying to record over. At least that's been my result when I try to record while playing. For the time being, I think I have to focus on the playing and do the commentary afterwards, so that I can actually represent my decks in their best light. Um, I wonder why it was in the past that I always felt like I played at least slightly better when I wasn't commenting, but yeah, I don't know what it is that makes me feel like the gulf has widened. But either way, Zirda, I choose you. And see, this is exactly the kind of hand that I can keep because of Fountainport Bell, if you catch my drift. So we do keep it, and play that, play Bell, and yeah, we are going to put that mountain on the top because we need that. And yeah, that pretty much was the land drop. This is pretty much what I'm trying to explain about why Fountainport is good. Now, interesting enough, I don't play the Cleansing Wildfire, and I think that's because I want to save it for the swamp, which they do present. But I'll probably crack on the marsh. I think, yeah, that's better. The question is, do I want to let this rip? I think I'll let this rip on the draw step. I just did it on the draw step just because maybe they draw another basic, maybe. Yeah, so okay. So part of me wonders, do I just Mirrex? Do I start Mirrexing? I don't think yet. I'm gonna Cleansing Wildfire. I do that to play around Spell Pierce. Okay, they won't go 2 steps ahead, that's fine. Okay, I'm probably gonna want to crack that. Yeah. There is an argument to be made that I should just be Mirrexing, but I like to get a feel for just how many basics they might actually be playing. I think I'll play the field. It makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's an efficient use of mana. I endorse. So, okay. Alrighty, I play Jace Vin's Prodigy. Okay, interesting. Should I field? To field or not to field? That is the question. Draw the lock. Okay. Well, I exposed myself a little bit. Oh, and they're out of basics. That's good to know. That is good to know. So that's why I was kind of working on that because I just wanted to know when they were going to run out. Uh-oh. This is kind of a problem here because it just keeps drawing a card. But we can double Scorching. You know what? I don't know what I was thinking. I should have double Scorching. I had the answers. Oh, well, I guess there is some value to be had this way, if you think about it. Unfortunately, they get to field me. On the other hand, they don't get a basic like I do, so they kind of pawns it themselves, and I get to do that. It's not as bad as you might think at first glance. Zirda is, yeah, probably, yeah. Let's see what we draw. Nothing. Okay. I'm definitely getting the feeling that I missed out on cranking out the Mirrex tokens. Dig Through Time is a solid card draw spell for obvious reasons. Ooh, it's a spicy meets a ball. Get drawn in a lock. Set Power of Valence. Deduce. Okay, what is this? What is this? Gurmag Angler? I didn't know that was Pioneer legal. I seem to be yielding. I don't think I should, but we'll see. I don't know what's going on here. The clock is ticking, so... Oh, my clock is ticking. Okay, I guess I must have had a lag spike. We got time to spare. And now their clock is ticking again. Now my clock is ticking again. So weird. I don't know what's going on. Oh, because I unyielded. Yeah, because I guess I'm seeing another Thoughtseize potentially in my future. Now I'm yielding again. Weird. So not sure how long this goes, but needless to say, I hope I don't get sniped with a. There, I stopped yielding. Hope I don't get sniped with a Thoughtseize or something. Because I think I want to fire off a Frostbite on the Narset in response. If they do. This opponent, though, they have to be careful because they can definitely time out control. Like if you're playing a control deck, just PSA. Try not to let this happen. Look at this. Look at this clock just plummet in time. I'm glad MTGO is speeding. I mean, the autoplay is speeding it up. Because yeah, this would have been a lot of dead time to just sit around watching the clock dwindle. You know what? I mean, maybe I don't want to spoil it, but from what I'm seeing on the results end, there's a non-zero possibility that that they end up paying the ultimate price for whatever is going on here, where their clock is just they're just decimating their clock here. Now, to be fair, their internet could have gone out, so there is that. Um, this may not be their fault. We don't know that. We don't know for sure if if this is their fault. And who amongst us has not had a phone call come up or something else, something that unfortunately drains our clock that is not entirely our fault. Because if you think about it, it's pretty unlikely that the guy just decided to go grab a sandwich for no reason and eat in the middle of the game when he decided to start not so long ago. Yeah, to be fair, probably this isn't a very egregious problem. That it's probably something unforeseen, some unforeseen phone call, some maybe nature called. Who amongst us hasn't had that happen? So you never know. Either way, um, 14 minutes left on the clock. This is I don't from the results on my end, I don't think the clock is going to tick all the way down to 0. I'm pretty sure he comes back at some point, but he's going to have to win, and he's going to have to win quickly. Because he's going to have to win 2 games now in what's looking like probably under 13 minutes. That's never good. For whatever reason, though, I do have to say, and it's probably because, yeah, you know what? It's probably a phone call, and the reason why is because he's tapping the black mana, which is actually smart. Which is actually smart if he had to take a phone call, because this makes it so that I can't just hold down a yield until end of turn. So what this means is if he keeps pressing like he has to press like yield or I mean like okay or something at some point in order to make my clock go down. This is so maybe this is an MTGO problem actually. Yeah, this might be an MTGO problem. I'm kind of remembering this to be honest. Because honestly, I don't know how he's not timing out because he's got to because I know I've been there actually. I've actually literally been in a similar spot. You have to keep clicking okay, but that also has to move you through your phases. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you're going to time out after like 5 minutes or so. Okay. Well, I didn't get to frostbite. Something weird. I think I was yielding for better or for worse. I think I was. Okay. Weird. I don't think I meant to yield like that, but anyway, I don't know what that was. What was that? I just tapped 4 mana, and what did I get for it? I don't know. So weird. I feel like something weird is going on here. I don't know. Yeah, I think something funky happened on MTGO. Neither of us can play lands, I guess. Yeah, something weird here. Something super weird. I got to be honest, guys. I don't remember just tapping 4 mana and not playing a land drop, for no apparent reason. I think what's going on is something glitched on MTGO, and I'm tapping lands to play stuff, but it's not showing me actually playing it, and it's not showing me playing lands, and it's not, and I part of which has got to be me, activating the Mazemind Tome. I think the clock is real. I think that they are down to 10 minutes, but I think something weird happened on MTGO that caused us to glitch out because for whatever reason, I think I was yielding, but for some reason our clocks were trading time going down, which that's a surefire way you can tell it's a glitch. Um, because there's no way that my opponent wouldn't have timed out without having to pass the phase. I hate it when this happens. Like I do have to say, Daybreak Gaming, I think, is doing a better job at handling the glitchy mess that unfortunately is MTGO. Since they were outsourced, I don't think I've heard a single person say that Daybreak Gaming has made the game worse. Which, by the way, hats off to whoever's running this at Daybreak Gaming because you just know, like we Magic players are the hardest audience to satisfy. I'm sure they just knew that we were going to complain no matter what, and surprisingly, we didn't complain. Like if that isn't an endorsement for doing a good job, I don't know what is. Not necessarily that because it's hard to get like a lot of praise from the Magic community, but like like you were fully expecting yeah, just a ton of criticism, which for the most part just didn't happen. I think pretty much everybody agrees. Like I'm sure MTGO isn't perfect, but I think everybody agrees it's probably better overall. Like it's not like there's been massive improvements, but it's gotten just that much little better, and I think it just keeps getting that much little bit better. And there's not much support you can ask for in a sense. So, but in any case, though, unfortunately, there are some lingering issues with the glitches, as you can see, and we're seeing it right now. Now neither of our clock. Now I think this is I think that yeah. I think this is we're going to go into the next. Oh, never mind. I don't know what happened where both of our clocks froze. I was about ready to call it and go to the next game, but nope. Um, yeah. I mean, at this point, I guess I'm just showing how low the clock goes, maybe because we're not seeing whatever's going on here, as we can see. We're just not seeing it. I'm tapping mana to do something. I think they resolved a Shark Typhoon. That's what I think happened. Okay, I didn't record it. So I was relying, perhaps naively so, on you know the built-in demo type feature. Which, by the way, interesting fun fact. I think what's happening here is something called a demo. Please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not. Well, I might be slightly more tech savvy than your average millennial, which I don't know. I don't know what that says exactly. I'm pretty sure the average Gen Z uh, is a lot more tech savvy than the average millennial. But the gulf between us millennials and boomers, I don't even know what to say. And yes, I'm forgetting about Gen X because unfortunately they kind of got sandwiched, if you know what I mean. But yeah. So like anyway, what I think's going on here because I also actually have a little bit of a little bit of interest in Doom modding, whatever. I never really modded any Doom, so I'm not like a Doom modder, but I did go to IMDb or whatever you call it, not IMDb. I did go to like the mod database and get my fair share of Doom mods just to see what they're about. Like Kid Icarus or whatever his name is, or Cat Icarus, I forget what it's called, or Mr. Icarus, whatever. There's these Doom modders, or Midnight, I think, is another one. He loves playing his Doom mods. They're actually some really good channels, and I recommend them. But yeah, like because that's the thing, like there's a whole wide world of Doom mods, and there's YouTubers that go through a lot of interesting. You can make a lot of interesting stuff, and if you do want to dig your heels into, or dip your toes, so to speak, into some type of making a game of your own. Doom modding is probably the easiest way to start off, because from what I understand, it's by far the easiest. It's by far, and the gameplay is the most intuitive, because like almost everybody understands how to play Doom. So your game is going to be the easiest to access, and it's going to be the easiest for you to create. And the level of accessibility to the public is pretty unparalleled. And I guess I became captivated for a bit. So long story short, I did start to get fascinated with the Doom modding scene. So I did learn a little bit about how Doom works, and I think this is where the game gets called. I think they end up overwhelming me with the Shark Typhoon tokens with 5 minutes in the clock at the end. But I think what's going on is what's called a demo, which is the game isn't recorded. It's not like there's some database with a recording on it. But I think what happens is that the inputs, like the inputs and the outputs, those are all just very simple code for the program to remember. And I think that's what's going on, is that there's no recording in the database on the MTGO mainframe or whatever, but it for a very negligible amount of memory space, I think it's remembering the inputs. It's remembering the clicks. It's remembering the who passed which turn when, the clock, all of that. Like it's all just very simple code. So basically, what's going on is it's just remembering the inputs and the outputs, and it's just playing them back. It's just playing them back using the MTGO interface, because from what I understand, that's how Doom demoing works as well. Apparently, because one of the cool things about Doom is it had a vibrant speedrunning community, from what I understand, long before speedruns became mainstream. In part because they had that par time built in, which was a very fascinating feature, but also in part because people had the unique ability to be able to record Doom games long before recording became easily accessible to everybody, because of the demo functionality, which is I never used it, but apparently Doom had the ability to play back demos from previous games that you'd played, where it wouldn't record it, but the game could remember all the inputs, like all the inputs you entered into Doom Guy, and all whatever the variables that changed, because I mean, like all RNG, I think whatever RNG exists in the game, I'm pretty sure if the same exact parameters are inputted, I think you're going to get the same outputs. Like there is no true RNG. Like and that's an interesting philosophical conversation for another day. But there is no such thing as like actual RNG. It's all just fake. It's all fake, and it's based on the presupposition that we don't actually know exactly what inputs we're inputting at all time. Like when you flip a coin, there's nothing random about that coin coming up heads or tails. The reality is we just don't know the exact physical force we're applying from our thumb into that coin. And we don't know the exact like wind speed. We don't know the exact like rotation of the earth and whatever it is. We don't know the exact physical forces that are going to cause that coin to flip X number of times and come up heads or tails. Basically, what RNG is, perhaps on both a physics, metaphysical, perhaps, I don't know, but what it is on both sort of a scientific in a sense and gameplay level is it's ultimately just our ignorance of forces that we don't quite understand, like the force we apply to the quarter, and in Doom's case, the exact precise inputs we make at exact time, at the exact coordinates, at the where other conditions are present. Like all of these things come together, and good RNG basically makes certain parameters happen or not happen based on such minute and seemingly random inputs that basically the player base just cannot fully comprehend how to discover how to manipulate it. If you want to see a good example though of RNG being cracked, I know there's probably a lot, but Dragon Warrior is an interesting game because apparently, random encounters are not random. They're all based on RNG, and apparently using really bizarre looking movements, you can basically walk, I think, all the way to the end of the game, if I'm not mistaken, with no, or at least walk through most of the game without ever having an enemy encounter, because enemy encounters are entirely based on RNG, which is entirely input based. And what happened is the player base apparently figured out how the RNG system works, and once you figure that out, it's not actually random at all, and you can manipulate it. And what I'm just trying to say is in Doom, they can play back all your inputs, which in essence will spit back the exact same game, which is indistinguishable from a recording, essentially. And pretty sure that's what MTGO is doing here. I think it's also safe to call it that the game is that we're ready to go to the next game, because I think what happened here that we're not seeing, because for whatever reason it didn't, something glitched, which also I think glitched the output, the inputs and the outputs, which is why the demo isn't playing back the game properly. But I think what ended up happening is I was tapping my mana at all weird times, in weird ways, because I think they resolved the Shark Typhoon. I think I was able to deal with most of their sharks for the most part, but at the end I think what ended up happening is they went down to like 1 or 0 cards left in their deck, and I had to just survive one more shark attack, and I couldn't quite get there. And I think they got me with 5 minutes and 41 seconds to spare. Let's go to the next game. Needless to say, I don't think they're going to be able to win in this short period of time, but let's see how interesting of a game it is. And let's. Okay, well, game 2. Yes, we would like to play this hand. Very risky, but I think it's got 2 lands. I've got Crucible of Worlds, which I think is probably going to be GG if it resolves, because they only got 4 basics. I think we have to try to do this. Okay, I thought they were going to Spell Pierce me. Okay, I think worst case scenario of us not getting to 3 mana has probably been averted. Now, that being said, yeah, I just can't pass this up. I just can't pass this up. It's kind of. That being said, I don't exactly have like a field yet, so it's a little so-so. Aether Gust. Ooh, put that to the bottom. Do that. I don't want that thing. I don't want that thing going nuts. I just don't. Narset. Okay. Hopefully they don't kill me with Hall of the Storm Giants. I've got 8 fields. Hopefully I draw them. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can't blame me for flying off the Cleansing Wildfire when I did, although if I would have known that they had Hall, considering they got 2 minutes left, I think it's pretty obvious going after Hall is the better choice. I think the odds of them getting there with Hall is significantly more likely than the odds of them getting there with Shark Typhoon. That being said, Shark Typhoon on turn 6 can still be a doozy, so we have to be cognizant of that. Now, if I can draw an untapped red source, maybe I can burn down the house, and that would be ideal. Hopefully, if I do draw the red mana, I remember to create the devil tokens, because that way I can snipe the Narset while also having 3 devil tokens, whereas dealing 5 damage does not get me the devil tokens. Both end up with Narset dead, but one gives me extra devil tokens. I think the game may have glitched again, because I don't remember my opponent stalling this hard at 2 minutes with Narset. So sorry that this game. I mean, we saw a good chunk of game 1, but yeah, sorry that for whatever reason, MTGO kind of crapped out. Excuse. I hope that doesn't hurt the algorithm or something that I threw the little C word in there. I don't know that that's a real curse word. Hopefully not. But anyway, yeah. So I think what's going on is the game's playing out, and the clock is real, but the game is not showing what's actually happening. I think what ended up happening is I think once again they did actually end up playing a Shark Typhoon on turn 6, and I think I actually came dangerously close to getting Oh, never mind. Well, we don't know. If I don't, yeah. So once again, it's glitched, because I know I would have played my land drop. Yeah, it's glitched, obviously. Yep, see, it's glitched. Yeah, because they played something, but it just doesn't show what they played. I don't play the land again because it's glitched, and it's not showing what's actually happening. It's only showing us tapping our lands, and it's only showing the clock going down. But yeah, I think what happened is they almost got there actually with a turn 6 Shark Typhoon, but alas, they had so little time on their clock, couldn't finish it off. How close they came, though, I can't quite remember, but I think they may have actually been just 1 attack away. They may have even been like the time in between the swing and when it actually announces them as the winner, and literally winning by I remember one of these games I won by the skin of my teeth, where they just couldn't get the attack off fast enough, and I don't know what to say. It happens. I don't remember if that's what happened in this game, but considering that they haven't conceded at 4 seconds, I think that's what happened. There's a decent chance, but I don't remember for sure because that could have been another game. Because I also played against a good chunk of blue-white control decks, and it could have been any one of those games. I do think they resolved the Shark Typhoon though, and I think I basically just tried to kill all the Shark tokens. I think I drew a field at some point and killed the Hull, but I don't think I drew it soon enough for me to actually get there with the Ponza. But anyway, well, sorry that so much of this was a glitched mess, but I think the next games should be unglitched. I hope. Okay, well, match 2, and let's see what bringeth in the match. Ooh, now this is a spicy hand. I don't know that I'm gonna get the mountain, to be honest. I didn't, and I don't blame myself because I'm just so mana flooded, and this was exactly why. But I do remember I do have 20 lands instead of 24, so just remember that. Um, yeah, yeah, might as well. Let's see. Ooh, Lily. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna probably go for the burn down the house. Discard towards the witness. Ooh, unstoppable slusher. Ho 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 ho. Yeah, let's do that. I think I'm going to burn down the house that kills both Liliana and Unstoppable. Now the devil tokens might have been slightly better, but it is what it is. Yeah, let's get that. Just also want to get a feel for how many basics they actually play. I can finish this off with Torch, which I think is good because I need the card draw. I need ooh. Let's see what that is. I do endorse waiting because this gives me more turns where it comes back with the stun counters. I'm gonna do this now. Yeah, and then we have maximum stun counters. And I think I want to create a Mirrex token. Yeah, I think I will. I just like being able to get busy, if you know what I mean. All right, and that's a good use of mana. Okay, I think I'm going to continue making the Mirrex tokens. I want to press the advantage. You know, I never underestimate the opponent's ability to play like Invoke Despair and suddenly out of nowhere just get you like drain like basically if they play 4 Invoke Despairs in a row, then they just win, and there's not much I can do about that. And so I just like the idea of pressing the advantage with the might tokens, if you know what I mean. I think that if I remember correctly, I think this deck is a waste. No, it's not a waste. Not. It's a this is like some kind of rack deck. I think they're just not drawing their rack cards. But I have more than 4 cards in our hands anyway. Yeah, this is definitely a rack type deck. This is a very good card in that type of deck. Mazemind Tome, obviously, like the penultimate excellent card against rack type strategies. 4 cards basically, very very good, and I think that's a wrap. Yeah, both clocks frozen. I think they concede. That's a wrap. Okay, match 2. Zirda, I choose you. Oh, I forgot to go over the sideboarding. Well, the last match it didn't really matter, but this time I will go over the sideboarding. Um, so yeah, I took out Torch the Tower and I brought in Abrade. I brought in 2 Abrades. I brought in 2 Blast Zones. I'm trying to remember why I brought in Abrade. Probably because of Unstoppable Slasher. But in retrospect, maybe Blast Zone would have been better. Crucible of Worlds could be good too, because that way I can just play more lands and I can keep more lands in my hand and just play, fields out of my graveyard. But they don't have a lot of non-basics for me to hit actually. So actually I can understand. Crucible is at its best when obviously the opponent has so many non-basics that I always have my fields in my graveyards to keep recurring, if you know what I mean. If they don't have a lot of basics, then Crucible ends up not doing a lot. So anywho, I think this is a mulligan, though. I will say that much. Oh yeah. So mountain to the bottom, Fountainport Bell, almost certainly going to. Interesting that they took that. Almost certainly going to not put a mountain on top. Oh yeah, and here's the rack doing rack things. Discarding an on-land card. I do have Zirda I can put in my hand, which always helps. Oof. Ooh, sassy. So this is a much more racky type of a type of game this game. Oh, I'm surprised Zirda I choose you, right? Well, I guess I wanted to do that because maybe I'm trying to. Oh yeah, because I'm trying to defend the Mirrex. Oh, yuck. Well, I'm gonna try to get there with Mirrex. I don't know what to say. Ouch. I think that's pretty much GG. Oof. Oof. Ouch. Yeah. It's gonna leave a mark. Bam. Ooh, that's a good one. I'm gonna take so much damage from this slasher though. Ow. Like that Chad meme. Ouch on the shirt. Ouch. Oh, I think that might just be GG. I'm gonna have to do this on my upkeep to prevent from dying. Yeah, so I live to see another day, but only barely so. Bam bam. And why didn't I play Mirrex? Oh yeah, I gotta because I have to have two cards in my hand or I just die. Oh, and that's GG because oh no, I guess I can put a land on the top. Yeah. So I can put a land on the top. Let's go. Hmm. Go after them. Yeah, I think so. I just killed myself. Yeah, I just killed myself because yeah. In retrospect, I should not have done that. But this might have been barely a winnable game, but it's definitely did myself no favors there. But the problem is yeah, because I think it wouldn't have untapped yet. It would have just had its last counter, so should have just kept that in hand. Oh, but then this would have got me. No, I would have had no. This would have got me anyway. Because truth be told, they had an uptick with Liliana they didn't use. They had a card, so I would have ended up with one card and no way to put a card in my hand on the upkeep anyway. So that's that. Alrighty, gonna play Zirda. I choose you. And see, did I make any different sideboarding? View side. I can't view sideboard for some reason. Okay, now I can. I guess I just went with max Abrades. I guess I just didn't want to get caught with I think two reasons actually. That card that I discard two cards unless I discard a non-land card. I want to have more non-lands so I can discard to that and not get the max discard. And I also just really don't want to get. I really don't want to get hit by the slasher. Okay, so let's go. This is obviously a keep. Double Reckoner Bankbuster. So Mishra's Research Desk is generally better. However, in this specific matchup, I will say Reckoner's Bankbuster is a lot better because putting those cards in my hand kind of unparalleled good in this matchup. Like, in fact, this must be kind of annoying for my opponent. In reality, I can't endorse Reckoner overall, but I am definitely glad to have it in this matchup. Truth be told, without Reckoner, this might actually be a pretty tough matchup. They have a lot of discard. They might have enough discard to reliably overpower Mazemind Tome. Now, discard overpowering this much card draw though. That's I don't know about that. Okay. Thankfully I got the Scorching Dragonfire this time. Man, I even could put that to the bottom. That's ballsy. Ballsy of me. All right, let's Scorching Dragonfire that. It's just kind of the most decent thing to do. Ooh, sassy. So we have another one. Oh yeah, let's put that. Draw a card. Yeah, put that. Now we can Frostbite. Don't mind if I do. Yeah, I'm gonna stun it. Man, it's crazy that can basically deal like 11 damage. Oh no. Okay. Well, burn down the house. In the house. In the house. Oh no. Okay. All right. Let's see if we can. Kaboom. Kaboom. Yeah, let's do that one instead. Ooh, that's a nice one. Unfortunately, probably can't this time. So let's put Zirda to hand, I guess. Yeah, this is more dicey than you might think at first glance. Let's see if we can. Bam bam. Money Graham. I guess we're gonna play both of these. Wow. Actually, they had a really good start, and I'm gonna take a lot of damage. However, it is worth noting that I have the ability to put a lot of cards in my hand, so there is the makings of pretty good Yeah. Okay, Strangle. Don't mind if I do. Yeah, that makes sense. And then I Abrade for max stun counters. Okay, we definitely want to Braid in response, so or not, because I guess we can just Frostbite. So either way, it's the same. We can minimize how much damage we take here. Bam, bam. MoneyGram. Yeah, we'll take it. Yeah, we'll hit this. Yeah, bam, bam. Yeah, I think we got a lot of basics. So yeah, it is what it is. Ooh, got down to 1. It's nasty. Ooh, that's good. Okay. Oh, if we weren't paying attention, easily could have lost there. Let's do that. Hopefully they had basics. Nope. Okay. Scorching Dragonfire. But they're well, we're in the danger zone because if they draw another Hopeless Nightmare, okay, they did not. Whew. I gotta hand it to this Rack deck actually. Like it almost won through like a very absurdly obscene and inappropriate and honestly not even good amount of raw card draw, and they still almost got there. This deck might be for real actually. Ooh, so plus it's got this reach. Each player loses 4 life. That's very real. Yeah, very real. It's as real as it gets, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I could have actually won that turn by strangling my own devil token. I didn't see that. Because yeah, then because if I strangle my devil token, this could have gone face, and then yeah. Anywho, I'll take it. All right, match 3. Let's see if we can keep up. Zirda, okay. Oh, and I'll keep because so we got land. Ooh, and is this? I think it's the same player as last game. So yeah. All right, so rematch against Rack deck. I didn't see a single Shrieking Affliction last game. I don't know. I don't know what that was about. But let's. I probably should have just got rid of Hive. No, because I need this to bam bam. Fountainport, of course. Yeah. We want to maximize how many cards we draw, of course. Level 3, okay. But I don't know that they're going to end up actually. Why didn't I draw a card? Maybe I want to just keep this in my hand for safekeeping, if you know what I mean. Okay. And now we draw a card and a turn. This is pretty solid, if I do say so myself. Pretty Metal Gear Solid. Yeah. Draw a card. I'm surprised we didn't Fountainport. Do that. Play this. Oh, I shouldn't have let them draw a card, but on the other hand, they end up losing it with the Liliana anyway. Level 3, that's fine. And we're going to Fountainport finally. Okay. Yeah, they don't draw a card because I got one. Bam. Do that. Okay, do this in response. Bam, bam. MoneyGram. Okay, draw a card. No, I don't want to lose life. I would rather not. Yeah, let's Strangle. Let's play this. And now, yeah, unfortunately, we can't prevent that, but it is what it is. It's fine. We can actually draw 2 cards in a turn now because of that. And they might actually be out of basics, but I'm not sure. Okay, that's we're gonna play these out. Seems like the reasonable, decent thing to do. Try to get going. Yeah, not drawing a card yet. Rankle's Prankle. Okay. Yep. Rankle's Prank is a good card. Good card. I'm gonna draw a card here. I think we're in Demolition Field on upkeep, don't we? No? Yeah, okay. Yeah, there are basics, I think. So now I want to crank out some Mirrex tokens, and I also have leftover mana for Mazemind. And I think this is pretty much in the bag. Ooh, ouch. That's pranky, pranktastic. Okay, okay. Produce this, produce that. By produce, I mean draw a card. Okay. Bam, bam. Bam, bam, bam. If I didn't play such an obscene amount of card draw, like this would be for real, kind of a done deal. I would have been gone a long time ago, no doubt about it. These are powerful cards. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how good the rack is in the rest of the metagame, but for sure, we kind of needed this. We kind of needed, I think, both Bankbuster and Mazemind to feel comfortably able to win this matchup. It's possible we could have gone 1-1 without them, but it is what it is. Yeah, let's go. Produce 2 tokens. Let's go. Gain a lot of life. Bankbuster. Don't mind if I do. Yeah, just think. Nightmare. And that's a wrap. All right. Let's go. Zirda, I choose you. Now let's look at the sideboard. We take out Torch for Abrade. Blast Zone. No, for Blast Zone. Yeah, we took out Torch for Blast Zone, which I think makes sense. Torch, the only creature I've really seen them play is a Slasher, and while Torch can one-shot it, we have to bargain it for that effect, and I think we just have enough relatively dead cards to deal with Slasher anyway. So let's. Oh, that's a mulligan, no land. Okay, there we go. Now that is more like it. I like Fountain Bell because it's card draw, but it's also I don't think we want to put a mountain. Yeah. Oh, that is nasty. Wow, that's I feel so pranked here. I'm gonna take so much damage off of that. This could be bad. Plus, I can't. Oh, this is nasty. This is nasty. I should Cleansing Wildfire my own land actually. I don't think I see that, but I should. Oh, well, I don't give me the opportunity. Yeah, instead of playing Fountainport, I should have Cleansing Wildfire my own land. I don't know what I was thinking. At least I'm not gonna die to rack damage, but I'm probably gonna die to my own lands. I think I Fountainport. Okay, or that. Yeah, do that. Still could end up coming out ahead here. It's very possible. Yeah, let's. Oh, that was a mistake. that was not. That was not where we want to be. But we'll do that. Not where we want to be, but that's fine. Going on to 1. It's a little scary. Okay. It's a little scary, but we'll deal with it. As long as we have enough cards in our hand, we should be okay. Hit that. Do they have another bait? Yeah, they do. I think they got 6 swamps. It's a very healthy amount. Okay. All right, but we can draw enough cards to avoid Calamity. We'll do that. And we'll do that. And that is fine. Well, Fountainport, I think. Alrighty. We'll do that. I can take burn down the house, that's fine. I think we can get there with the Bankbusters, actually. Yeah, let's just keep drawing an absolutely insane and unreasonable amount of cards. Oh, good thing we got the Mazemind. Yeah, let's do it. Probably get rid of Torch. Yeah. Alrighty. This is just this. It's just like, what are we doing here with this amount of card draw? Like, why? Anyway, we'll take it, if you know what I mean. But in reality, they have a very solid looking deck. It's just 4 Mazemind, 4 Reckoner. That's kind of, it's a lot of ways to put cards in our hand, if you know what I mean. It's kind of very intense. It's a lot. Yep, GG. All right, match 4. Zirda, I choose you. Hand, I mulligan, no lands. Oh, and I think I put a frostbite to the bottom. I like having a little diversity of opinion here. Ooh, these aggro decks have definitely gotten stronger. Ooh, slick shot to show off. And the problem is I can't frostbite it. Yeah. Yeah. So I probably want to strangle off of a Mirrex. It's hard to say. Yeah. Because I want to hold up the frostbite to hit the Kamuno. The etching. The etching of Kamuno. Kumano. Let's go. Oh, sassy. That's what we call a sass. But they can let me have it here. Ouch, and mama. Ooh, let's go. Ow. Okay, well, we lived to fight another day, so that is cool. We gotta do this so we have some long-term life gain prospects. I think they play. Okay. I don't know that I'm gonna be able to survive long enough. We shall see. Oh no. Oh no. Ouch. Okay, well, I need that Scorching Dragonfire, but okay, well, the good news is I'm alive. The bad news is I'm at 3. But I do have an answer to the nonsense next turn, so there is that. Yeah, I want to cut them off with Lightning Helixes and Boros Charms. That being said, I got a feeling I'm going to eat a Skewer the Critics. Frickin' critics, man. They never give you the respect you deserve. Oh, maybe we actually do survive with the critics this time. They're impossible to please, but maybe this time we pleased them. We did also whittle their lands down quite a bit. But they don't have some kind of weird incinerate type card. Okay, good. All right, let's go after the basic. Yeah, let's burn it down. Burn it down. Burn it down. Oh yeah. I want to keep 1 back just in case. At 7 life, you can't be 2. Ow! That is nasty. We're gonna strangle. We're gonna burn it down again. Everything but 1. No, because we got the torch, so I think we might actually get there, but they might also back-to-back Lightning Helix us. Let's see. That might have been a little too gutsy. Well, that's reasonable. Is that okay? Well, we actually got there. Okay, match 2. I mean, sorry, match 4. Game 2. Zirda, I choose you. Let's see what sideboarding we do. So we took out the Bankbuster, and we brought in 2 Blast Zones. We took out 2 Mirrexes for 2 Blast Zones. Okay, I can swing that. And I think we can get away with that primarily because Fountainport is pretty reliable with the red. We took up Bankbuster for Abrade, which I agree with. The card draw is nice, but we win or lose primarily off of how much bleeding we can stem in the early game. So I agree with that. Let's go. Oh, that's a problem because I'm not getting red mana until turn 2. Oh, never mind. better lucky than good sometimes, if you know what I mean. But that is kind of a problem. Not gonna lie, that is kind of that's kind of a freaking problem here. Oh, it has 4 toughness. Why? You know, spoiler alert, this may or may not be a reason why I start thinking about obliterating Bolt. Just saying. Well, at least I got an answer to that, but it's taking so much free damage. Blah 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 blah. I don't want to take more unnecessary damage and do that. Blah blah blah. So I think I have to. Why did I do that? I guess I can afford. I can, but I don't know. I can afford, but I don't know. That's nasty. That's also nasty. That's nasty. I'm gonna take 3 damage, even though I frostbite. It's nasty. Now I can't gain life for the rest of the game. It's like so beyond nasty. So beyond nasty. I can't even. I'm just besides. Oh, this is a problem. I mean, I guess I can blast zone, but Houston, we have a problem. It's got to be blast zone. Man, it's so much damage. Obviously. Let's try to do Field of Ruin. Let's do this. Do upkeep before they can draw Lightning Helix. Okay, I'm surprised they didn't do that end of turn. Not sure why they wouldn't. Okay. So they can't skewer us. Oh, they can because they that's why they did it. They held Boros. Oh, I thought they had skewer. So okay. Well, let's field that Foundry. Oh, ouchie, ouchie. I got a feeling that we're gonna have some playing with fire in our future. That works too. All right, match 4, game 3. Zirda, I choose you, and burn down the house. You're a little too slow. Out you go. Although, yeah, because I need those blast zones. You know. On the other hand, no, I don't know. It's hard to say, but I mean, burn down the house is a clean answer to the Magebane lizard thingy, but I guess we're just gonna have to hope to get there with blast zone and burn down the house. This is neither, and only reason I kept is because it has red sources and it has, their deck seems a little susceptible to land destruction, so there is that. I guess I'm going to be mana efficient, but an argument could be made that the instant speed later on is better. But here's what I'm thinking. They're going to play something else. Unfortunately, something else would made Bane Lizard. If that was anything else, then I could have just done that and then played Strangle to be efficient, but no, it's got to be Magebane Zombie, Magebane Lizard, which is just going to end up dealing so much damage. It's like, whatever. It's like, whatever. Okay. I mean, the sad thing is they are kind of susceptible. This is the most unfortunate thing is they're going to deal so much damage to me, but they are kind of susceptible to the land destruction. It's just this Mazebane Lizard that is ultimately kind of being a jerk. This is kind of being a jerk. That's just very jerk-like. I don't know what to say. That's just very, very jerk-like. I guess I might as well torch because I guess trying to be mana efficient. Oh. Okay, match 5. Let's go. Zirda, I choose you. Now this hand is keepable. Let's go. We have red sources. We've got torch. We got cleansing wildfire. We got the other torch. Oh man, I love these. I love these Amalia decks without the Amalia combo. I don't know what to tell you. I miss Amalia combo because they played like one basic, and all their creatures are basically weenies. So bam, Um, okay, that's a little annoying. Unfortunately, I forget that I have to do this first, but that's fine because I could have. I mean, as what came into play on top, it had nothing to do with that anyway. Let's go to ban. Are they gonna do? Are they gonna do in response? I think they are. Collected company. It is what it is. Okay. I mean, I can survive a collected company or three, especially those the hope is those get swept away with a very very nasty burn on the house. That's the hope. That's a lot of little weenie elves. Let's do this. I mean, sure, they might in response play a collected company. Oh, but that's just going to delay the inevitable. Okay, well, I can torch the enduring innocence. So there is that. And they just scoop it. They're just like, dang it, man. Um, Notice that I'm also on track to because they just like Amalia, they play one basic planes. I got a feeling I'm going to win this one. I don't want to be arrogant because you can lose any matchup. But if we're not winning this matchup, we kind of have a problem because all their creatures, basically all our burn spells hit all their creatures. We have the exile burn spells for the Enduring Innocence. Now, if we didn't have cards like Torch the Tower and Scorching Dragonfire, the Enduring Innocence might just bury us in card advantage. But we do have a clean answer to Enduring Innocence. They only play one basic, so our Ponza strategy can really get going against them. And all our removal hits all their creatures basically. I have to imagine this is a good matchup. I mean, heck, we were consistently a lot of our 5-0 leagues back when we were playing Pioneer before we went on our hiatus was essentially because we hit like 2 or 3 Amalia combos in a league, which we pretty much swept 2 to 3-0. And I have to imagine that Amalia combo without the ability to win out of nowhere, which sometimes we did lose to Amalia because they can have the ability to surprise you. Basically, Amalia combo without the combo, I have to imagine that's a good matchup. Let's see. Let's go to the next one. Okay, okie dokie. Match 5, game 2. Oh, I didn't. Oh, this is a definite mulligan. So I took out 2 Mirrex for 2 Blast Zone. Which one thing I will say about Fountainport Bell I do like is that it does give us a pretty clean ability to play, to be able to mix and match some blast zones because I do feel fairly reliable about the red mana. Obviously, this is just a fluke candy. There's nothing you can do. I'm not going Crucible because I just don't think it's necessary. I think we have enough ability to Ponza them out even without this. Abrade instead of Reckoner for the same reason as the other deck. Let's go. Yeah, and I think we'll actually even put 1 mountain back, to be honest. Because I think this, you know, this will. Oh, and they mulligan to 4. Oh, I feel sad for them. This is not. This is not good. I think we strangle. Oh, I thought we were gonna strangle. I think strangle would have been better, but it is what it is. Oh, I guess I wanted to. Oh, what did I do this for? Oh, I guess it's okay. Yeah, I think I wanted to respond to their map token, which honestly I was probably being greedy. Yeah, I was probably being greedy, but hey, what can you do? I think I'm gonna do this and then strangle. Yeah, I should not have let them attack with that. I think I forgot that this has a built-in card advantage ability there. Alrighty, let's get rid of that. I ended up letting them get card advantage again, which I know I said I wouldn't, but it's okay. Resurgence. We've got enough exile effects that I think that's going to be fine. Do that. Play another Rage of Urge, of course. Okay. Strangle, not bad. We draw a card. Yeah, we'll just do that. I think that's safest bet because it also just reduces maze mining later on. Plus, burn down the house would be pretty juicy here. Okay. Why didn't we strangle? I think we should have strangled and played Zirda, but it's okay. We're waiting for a Torch or a Scorching Dragonfire, which we're just not seeing. You know, it is what it is. They've definitely got the plot armor. Did we put that on top? It's probably good enough. Yeah. They got the plot armor. Of course, the next card I draw is a Torch the Tower. Oh, interesting. Probably hit the Elemental. No, I should hit the Kazu Flying Tiger. Yeah, because that also reduces this to 1. Oh, that's nice. You definitely know. Okay. Now, are they gonna plot it? Oh yeah, I guess that's a clean counter, isn't it? So Strangle. Just don't mind if I do. Man, they've got so many of these things. Oh, okay. Let's draw a card. Yeah, make our land drop. Making our land drop, you know, I've heard of worse things. Hopefully they don't draw a Collected Company, because that's their best chance at revenge. Okay. Man, after I used all that freaking exile effects. But that works too, you know, that does. It really does. Draw a card, okay. If they want to just attack with Enduring, I'll probably block. It's not ideal, but I'll just block. Okay, they drew a card. No reason to not gain life. Okay, it was worth a try. I like this better than burning down the house, just because I think the Zirda does a lot for me, to be honest. Okay, well, they don't draw a card off of that, so there's that. Let's field it up here. Bam, bam. Cleansing Wildfire, man. Bam. Mirrex, am. Abrade, am. Let's do it. Demolition Field. Zam. Fountainport Bell, I am. Yeah, start attacking. Wham. Make a Phyrexian Might token. They concede, and then, man, if only we were able to do better against that Boros burn deck, which they had only like one basic, so the makings were there, but the freaking Mage Bane Lizard got us. That's like, honestly, even that Scorching Nemesis, like, because they were so low on lands, we could have overcome that, but it's just a freaking Mage Bane Lizard, man. Oh, all right, and with that, that was a wrap 4-1. Yeah, that was a 4-1 wrap league. As we could see, Magebane Lizard, pretty much the bane of my existence, and definitely blocked us from the 5-0. That being said, like I said, I ended up playing some more leagues, and I'm just not sold on Reckoner Bankbuster. Obviously, we did win 2 games against the Rack. So far, I've not run up against the Rack since this league. I did actually run up against the Rack once, I think, in a previous league, but I've not run up against the Rack since. So even though we owe 2 of our wins specifically to Reckoner Bankbuster, I'm just not so sure. Plus, I will say this much: I totally forgot about this card. But I actually think we just don't really use Reckoner much for the creature. I think Spare Supplies is just more efficient at drawing cards. Honestly, I would be looking at this before Bankbuster anyway. But if we're in red, you know, Mistress Resource Desk, it digs deeper. Um, it is, you know, Spare Supplies. If you think about Mistress Reese's Desk, though, it's 1 mana to play, 1 mana to activate. So it's 2 mana for the front end, and then it's 3 mana on the back end. So Spare Supplies is 2 mana on the front end, 2 mana on the back end. So there, you know, Spare Supplies is slightly more efficient with the card advantage, but I think Mishra's just the ability to dig is just much better. You can dig for land, you can dig for action. Just being able to dig is just very positive. That being said, Spare Supplies has the advantage of putting cards directly in your hand. Plus, you never end up with a situation where you reveal 2 removal spells and no creature to remove, or you know, or something that you just can't play for whatever reason, like a burn down the house that you're just not at 5 mana yet. So there actually is some serious consideration to possibly playing Spare Supplies instead of Mr. Resource Desk, but I think Resource Desk is honestly, it's just one of the whole reasons to play Red. But it is worth thinking about because I think yeah, Spare Supplies most of the time it's going to be better than Reckoner Bankbuster. Just saying, at least in this deck. Anywho, what the takeaway is, I think. So there's another version of this deck. To be fair, let me see if I can pull it up here. So here's what I'm going to do. Okay, first I'm going to show what I ended up changing for the next league, and let me pull this up here. Okay, so what I do first of all is I move the Blast Zones back to the main. I what I like actually about, because I think I want a little more buffer against these aggro decks, so I want Candy Trail. And I also just want to try it just because like there were so many games where I was not putting a mountain on top, and I think Candy Trail is just better if we're using it just for the filtering and just for the draw, obviously. Oh yeah, and Research Desk ultimately just better than Reckoner. I misspelled research. Okay, there we go. And first bite. Yeah, and I actually and this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna replace Strangle with Obliterating Bolt. I am. You can say whatever you want, but I don't want to. I want a clean answer to Magebane, Lizard, and burn down the house. I think yeah. Oh, and this is what I discovered. Okay, Abrade comes out Brotherhood's End. So what this, if you think like, somehow I forgot about this card, but this is kind of like an Abrade on steroids because it hits everything, including Planeswalkers, by the way, which Abrade can't hit. For one more mana, granted that one more mana is red, so it's a little harder to cast, but for one more mana, it's a sweeper rather than just Abrade, so we arguably don't need to play Burn Down the House anymore, although, as we can see, the tokens did come in handy those games, but I'm going to experiment with this card because, yeah, I don't know why. Like, this card sees a ton of play in Modern. I don't think it sees as much play in Pioneer, but yeah, this is kind of like just better than Abrade. For one more mana, we sweep everything, including Planeswalkers, which Abrade doesn't, and we have the option to hit artifacts. So it can hit multiple artifacts. And granted, it can't hit big artifacts, but like against that synthesizer deck, it just wipes the board. So, honestly, this card is good enough just for the sweeper part. But I mean, the ability to hit artifacts too. I mean, probably sign me up. And last but not least, we have Krenko. Actually, I have been seeing some Lotus Field decks, not just the Lotus Field combo, but there's a Lotus Field like version of blue-white control. So Krenko's Bush Crusher is just a solid way to supplement the LD package too in certain matchups. So I've rocked it in the past. It might be overkill having both this and Crucible. That being said, I've explained why Crucible is uniquely nice, especially against the Rakdos mid-range deck. So this is how I ended up tweaking the deck. I'm not sure if I played another interim before the next one, but there's a very good chance the next league I record is going to be this list. That being said, in all fairness, I do want to share how the deck evolved, even past what I might share as the next one. Although I don't think I've gone 4-1 yet. I think my best results so far with this version is 3-2, but it's okay because I feel like the matchups I lost, I feel like maybe were winnable. I can't remember for whatever reason. Like I don't always necessarily. I'm not results oriented because you can lose with a good deck and you can win with a bad deck. Obviously you want to reassess your rationalist sort of judgments based on results, but at the same time, you can't, like, the problem with, I've said this a million times, the problem with so-called results-oriented thinking is that it needs to be results-oriented with a proper sample size and with proper logical analysis, which at that point, you're just saying be rational. Like, saying being results-oriented is just saying be rational because like, I mean, unless you're that guy from Kung Pao that thinks winning means getting punched in the face, then like, of course, if you keep losing, like, of course I don't know what to say. Anyway, I've said it a million times. I don't know what that results-oriented thinking even means, because if it means just you win once and then that means your deck is just, the gospel truth, then I mean, obviously that's ridiculous. That's absolutely absurd thinking. But on the other hand, if it means, if you have the proper, you get the idea, the proper sample size, plus you're able to make the correct analysis of why you won and why you lost. But then it's like that's not what anybody thinks when they think, or most people when they think results oriented, they think you just go off of like a couple matches and it's like, I won, therefore it's good, which is faulty thinking. So I don't know what to say. To the extent that it's not being strawman, it loses whatever unique meaning it had aside from just quote unquote be rational. Or don't be that Kung Pao guy. Don't be Mister thinks he's winning by getting punched in the face guy. I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, but the bottom line is that for whatever reason, I actually started to like a few other ways of approaching. So believe it or not, I was starting to run up against a lot of aggro decks, and losing game one against aggro can be very difficult, and it's a very tough pill to swallow to actually lose a 2 out of 3 against aggro with this much removal and stuff. But it can happen when we're not stacked enough with proper removal. I really liked Brotherhood's End. It was even main deckable, I think. Having sweepers, especially against aggro, is definitely awesome. So my thinking was yeah, pretty much Volcanic Spite though. This is kind of like a draw spell. Like there's a lot of situations where there's a very suboptimal or even downright dead cards, like just an extra mountain that you don't really need. Um, so far I've been quite impressed with the ability to draw a card. Now, yes, it's not Scorching Dragonfire, so yes, it doesn't kill Slasher or whatever outright. But that being said, there are some situations where you actually would even rather draw that card than just kill the Slasher outright, and that counts for something. Um, yeah, and I just don't want to get Magebane zombied, so I end up thinking, yeah, Obliterating Bolt is probably where to go, and I mean Magebane Lizard. But there's actually more than just that. There's more 4 toughness creatures than you might think. There's Sentinel of the Nameless City. There's a Radiant Cathar or a Radiant Splendid Cathar, whatever. There's more 4 toughness things in the format than you might think than before. So I do like having this, and Strangle is nice, but I think at the end of the day, being sorcery speed is probably the most cuttable. I think being able to draw an extra card. Yeah, there will be some situations where we lose because we can't deal with stuff efficiently enough when we don't have other 1-mana removal, but overall, being instant speed, being able to draw a card, I think that you get so much more for this 1 extra mana in Volcanic Spite. So yeah, there is what it is. And Brotherhood's End as a main deckable card, I think it's significantly better than both Scorching Dragonfire, although it doesn't exile, and and Abrade for the most part, main deckable sweeper. So yeah, and if we're playing 24 lands, I think Candy Trail is hands down better than Fountainport. That extra life gain is a very good buffer. It's a very good buffer against Invoke Despair, losing suddenly like that, Rankle's Prank, rack type strategies, aggro of all varieties, burn, you name it. There's so much that life gain does for you in this format that I don't think you can just write the life gain off as entirely irrelevant. The scry is not to be trifled with either. Also, especially good off a colorless. I don't know what to tell you. In any case, yeah, I know it's weird to have Cleansing Wildfire on the sideboard, but if you think about it, there's so much of this heavy land destruction element in the sideboard anyway, that maybe it always made more sense to just be primarily focused on beating aggro in game 1, and then sideboard into the more focused on the pawns of the game. I don't know. This is very experimental, to be fair. I just don't know what to cut, because I think Frostbite, Torch, Candy Trail is so good at also potentially finding red mana, or just making land drops, period. And the life, it feels very main deckable. Brotherhood's End is probably the most cuttable out of all these cards, but there are certain matchups where I feel like I need the sweeper. I feel like without the sweeper, it's just kind of hard to win. And there's surprisingly little creature removal. I mean, Frostbite, Torch the Tower, Obliterating Bolt, Spite, Torch the Wind. I guess I still have 20 removal spells. That could be enough. And Blast Zone is like a sort of sweeper. It doesn't hit tokens, though. Yeah, if there's one change I might end up making with this deck, obviously, probably Brotherhood End instead of Cleansing Wildfire is a way to do it. Anywho's it, just wanted to, yeah, hopefully this satiates the desire to see where what I've been doing with the cardless, and I do want to give the shout out to my patrons. Thanks for sticking with me. Thanks, Big Mamu, Paul Wynn, Adrian King, Gavin Downer, Savage Ooze, Roland Sonenman, S. Robertson, Jason R.K., Erwin Lopez, Zeke Smith, and Michael Patton. Yeah, I'm just happy to have any patrons still. It's I although I don't need the support, it's very encouraging, and honestly, I do, not gonna lie, I do have to I do have to sink some money into refreshing some tickets, when I especially I took, like I think I said in the one before I left, I did end up losing some amount of tickets with the freaking modern just hammering me in the head, especially before I took the hiatus. So did have to purchase some more tickets. I haven't done that in a long time, and at the end of the day, like I can afford it. To be fair, I'm not going to in any way suggest that I wouldn't be able to afford it without it. That being said, it's very encouraging that essentially I've only had to basically more or less use the I mean, let's put it this way. I know that you all have supported me more than the amount of money I've had to spend on tickets to keep the experimental dream alive. So it's more psychologically encouraging more than anything, because like that means I know I've never actually come out negative for my experimentation, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? I guess what I'm trying to say is you guys have essentially subsidized my experimentation, which is psychologically very encouraging. And I'm not going to lie, a part of me at times feels like, do I want to keep doing this? And it does help a lot that I'm like, well, at the end of the day, you guys are kind of helping me to, so that I can experiment. So, I mean, I can't experiment anyway, but like it's psychologically, just, it's less discouraging when I feel like I'm not sort of you know, I'm not sort of I guess, being negative overall with I don't know how to explain it, but it's much appreciated, and it's incredibly encouraging, and I'm glad you guys do stick with me, because every time I feel like maybe I've got nothing left, um there always seems to be something still left. There always does seem to be something still left. So I really appreciate it, and I guess I'll leave it at that. um Thank you, everybody, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything else I should say in closing. I'll keep it simple for now. I might do more in the future, but for now, if I can at least maybe do a video every other week, I don't know. We'll see, but maybe next week. We'll see. Thank you, everybody, and all the best.